All right. I just got home minutes ago. And it's Friday. Got to get down on Friday. Kicking in the front seat, sitting in the back seat. Got to make my mind up. Which seat can I take? We're on page 7. I have one big panel to do. However, it is a very complicated panel. This is my reference image of the ship, the pod. I think I got a good likeness of it right now, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel this right now. I did get some cool stuff in the mail. I just want to update you. I'm a big fan of the Outer Spacemen, if you don't know who they are. There's a comic of the Outer Spacemen, and check it out. Fabian Nicienza and Chris Batista. Fabian Nicienza is the co-creator of Deadpool, although, as I said before, Liefeld would dispute this. And written by Fabian, artwork by Chris Batista, colored by Nick Capone, lettered by William Ramos Jr., the Apex Comics Group, which I've never heard of. I love the Outer Spacemen. I have all of these figures almost. The only one I don't have is Colossus Rex and the octopus guy. Nautilus, I believe his name is. We got one of him. Oh, here they all are. Gamma X, I got a Gamma X, I got an Alpha 7. I don't have a Commander Comet, or I don't have a Cyclops. I would like a Cyclops. Or an Inferno, I don't think. But I actually have 2 Mistrons. He's my favorite. And I don't know if I have a Zodiac. I might. This is my first Orbitron. Where is he? Right here. And you can see he's basically the... Where's my blade? I'll have to get my little blade out to open this up. He's basically the Metaluna mutant. And this is the color scheme for 2022, which I did not know they were putting out figures. I thought they were done putting out figures forever. And so I just stopped, visiting the website and everything. But I guess they did a limited run in this color scheme. And then I also got this figure, which I don't have one of her either. I have Aphrodite. This one is the other female astronaut, Terra Firma. No, yeah, it's Terra Firma. So, and she's got the same dark purple and pink, or orchid and pink color scheme. And that's very cool. Well, it's Luna Eclipse. That's who it is. It's Luna Eclipse. These are I'm hugely into these. All right. And it's the right scale for me too. I only collect a very specific scale of action figure. It's the 5 points of articulation, 3 1/4 inch action figure. Although all of the Glyos figures kind of differ in size. They're all around that number, but none of them are quite exactly that number. So, but Glyos gets a pass just because they're so awesome. Rusty Nib, come back, buddy. All right, when we're presented with a complicated inking job like so, we want to do the front parts first. Oh, I don't like that. Yeah, we want to do the front parts first. The same thing twice. And a relaxed line, it's going to be thicker up front than it is. As you go further and further back, you want to be thinning out your lines more and more. But you shouldn't be like just bearing down and making like a huge line. And it's okay to have a little bit of variation. On all of these sort of pod or popsicle trees, I'm putting a shadow right underneath. Simplicity is key. Don't overdraw it. Don't overdo it. All right. Comics are meant to be a periodical medium, in my opinion. And by that I mean, you know, there's artwork that you spend, a week doing. And then there's artwork that you spend an hour doing, or a couple hours, or a day or so. And you want to default to the lesser amount of time, enough to tell the story simply. Readability, abbreviation, and illustration is key. It doesn't have to be realistic. It just has to tell the story and be visually interesting. And so we got all these crazy trees. Well, these trees, to me, feel unusual and visually interesting. And I'm hoping other people will think that too. And I think they'll at least understand that, okay, the ship has landed. Here it is coming down. And here it is. No mysteries. A lot of times I see people making comics and they've left something mysterious in a panel. A character looks into a box, right? And then they go do a thing, and they never tell you what was in the box. It kind of works in Pulp Fiction. It kind of works in certain things. In comics, you got to show. You got to show it off. Make it real clear. And explain characters' motivations is important too. What if I put this one back, like right there? That's looking pretty good. Oh, and I was inking this whole thing on the tones layer. Well, we're going to have to fix that. All right. We would call this bottom third here, we call that our foreground. Let's fix our problem here. And take our foreground and put it on the ink layer. Okay, boom. It's there. All right. Once we're past the foreground and we're in the midground, you should consciously, I say, and with a relaxed line, don't intentionally start thinning your lines up crazy. Use a thinner line. But take it easy, because you're going to have to go up one level from here as well when you get to the background. This would look so good in color, and I know I don't want to do color. I mean, I would get Jake to do color if I was going to do color. I say that I'm trying to teach myself color right now in my sketchbook. So I have a sketchbook that is 100%, almost 100% color right now, and I'm really enjoying working in it. I think I'm down to my last 4 pages. Where is it? It's right over there. Last 4 pages. And you can all roast me and say, "Oh, I'm so surprised you did that in color. I didn't think you could do that." I'll show you. I'll show you all. I'll be like James Cagney in White Heat. Top of the world, Ma. Check out these color pages. Well, they're not all comic pages. They're not comic pages at all. They're a lot of them are just like exercises, like trying to learn color. So they might not even be convincing art. They might just be, oh, I see you figured out the color pink. When I was really into doing watercolors all the time, which I was for a while, long time, and gel prints, aka jelly prints. I was a little bit more into color back then, and they were pretty good paintings, I think, in a lot of ways. But I was just downstairs looking for something, and I ran across a lot of my old art, and I'm like, I'm going to throw all this stuff out. And I was telling somebody at work that, and they were like, you can't throw out your old art. I'm like, yeah, you can, because it's not any good. You need to keep moving, or else you'll die like a shark. So I think there should be more plants than just these weird trees. So once we get the trees all done, let's do the whole thing, right? And then we'll figure out another plant, and that will kind of like weave in and out of this area if it doesn't get too busy looking. Like I've got some grass around here. All right. I like this plant design because I love doing the little shadows underneath the little pot area. We're enjoying this. Okay, good. I remember that being a big breakthrough moment on when I was watching Peter Draws, if you ever watched him, where he does these kind of like really abstract doodles that have, they're kind of buildable, complex forms. Um, he was showing some of the patterns he liked to use, and one of them was like things that would cross over each other. And he said you could put the shadow here, or if you want to show distance, you could put the shadow here. That was a moment. That was a moment made part of my brain light up. I was like, oh, you could do that. Like me just showing you that, you probably thought that's elementary. Of course you could do that. And it seems really obvious when somebody shows it to you. But you got to train your mind to think of that as you're putting stuff down. That's really tough. All right, so that's our mid ground except for the ship. So let's do the ship. And keep in mind, thinner. And whatever we use here, we're going to have to use in subsequent scenes where she's leaving the escape pod, which we'll see in the next chapter. Now, I have a couple of ideas for the next chapter, but I haven't written them all down yet. I don't like to get too far ahead of myself. But I think one thing we got to do is we got to have Scimitar make an appearance and then prove himself right away. Early victory. Ah, there's that same shadow. This is the same one. These are the feet right there. There's going to be a shadow that's underneath the ship, but we can't draw it yet until we get to the... Let's see if we can draw the volume of the ship. All right, you. Let's see if I can... Okay. There's the 3 pods. I want this to go like around and then maybe even around like this. No. Let's take a look. How's that looking? It's starting to come together. Looks a bit Dr. Zeus. I think I should also mention, as the chapter begins, the crystals that Eero said he put in the ship. And like we're going to find out what those are and what they do and how useful they are. The Myrdramites produce these honey crystals that are very valuable. And the hope is that she'll be able to barter her way to a better situation. Anytime you're doing like a sci-fi story, you got to figure out how do we do money? If you ever read The Demon Princess by Jack Vance, which I highly recommend, there's one of the stories completely revolves around counterfeiting, but it's not very convincing how this guy basically figures out how to do counterfeiting and just makes himself a lot of money that way. I'm like, wouldn't this have been tried before somewhere else in the galaxy? Oh, I'm the first person who thought of it. All right, let's take a look. I want to keep going to actual size to make sure it's not too small. Make sure it still reads. Maybe even shrink it down. I'm definitely going to have to darken this in. Like, there's going to have to be some tones going on here because it's going to get lost amongst all these marshmallow trees. We might even just Well, one thing we can do, this will draw a lot of attention, is put the shadow underneath it. Your eye automatically goes to the darkest thing on the page, or the greatest concentration of darkness. Something like that. And then let's hope we just do something like this. Looking pretty good. All right. Now, off in the distance, I had planned this to be a river, and I think it still is a river. And I had planned this to be sort of like a plume of steam or smoke or something coming from the ship that has just landed. It's no longer flyable, which you'll find out. So where she lands, that's where she begins. And after that, you're on foot. You're going to be Amba with Fernanda. At that point. Okay. At this point, be very conscious of the thickness of your lines. If you got contour lines in the area, especially if you have like a little crater like this one, point all your contour lines directly at the ship so that that's what everybody's looking at. It's like they're arrows. This thing. This is the most important detail. Now let's do this steam plume. The thinnest of lines, just for that. Sometimes the steam seems to fold over on itself. Take a look. There we go. I want to see a river's edge in the background. Some water, you know. Let's get the outline, see where I was going to go with that. Maybe some more trees on the far side. It's got the muddy banks of the creek or the river or whatever it is. And there's kind of a cliff right here. And then more trees off in the distance. Don't worry about this too much. It's going to get covered up by the speech balloon. I was reading an article the other day about a place called Jarbidge, Nevada. It's one of the most remote towns. It is the most remote town in the continental United States outside of Alaska. You can't, it's Jarbidge, Nevada, and you can't reach it from Nevada. You have to go to Iowa and then take a dirt road, like from Elko or something like that. The nearest town in any direction is 100 miles away. Isn't that interesting? And it only has 18 full-time residents. But it is very popular with campers and stuff. Like people go out there all the time. I thought that was super interesting. All right, this horizon is going to be, you gotta remember to use the thinnest lines. And break up the horizon wherever we can. We can lose our contours, that's totally okay. What I mean by lost contour, you see how I didn't even complete the circle here? That's called a lost contour. And then as always, bring it back down to, print size to see how it reads. Like, how's that read? I think that reads okay. Oof. Texture is key. This is something I learned from Evan Hill, Rocket Ship Evan, aka Mr. Handsome himself. Texture is key. Okay. We should be implying some water here. Water is one of those things I still find pretty hard to draw. How about you? You were able to draw water? Of course. This is water. When you do that, it means water. No, there's got to be more to it, right? It's hard to do. One thing we can always do is put it in perspective, which means further away things go, things are smaller, and any kind of contour lines or waves or ripples are closer together. And then closer they are, they might be further apart. And for now, that kind of signifies a bit of water, sort of, a little bit. A little bit. Okay, whoops. I'm going to keep working on this. Chances are it'll be done before Saturday, or I'll do it tomorrow morning. Let's put in, we've already got our bubbles. Okay. I'm going to do these 2 moons and I'm going to let it go and I'll finish this up tomorrow. The world of Brutalor, or Talor, as we call it, has 2 moons. I did that in the bubbles. Why do I do that? I get all excited for speech bubbles, and then I kind of sabotage myself. There we go. I got clouds I got to pin in. Okay, there's going to be all kinds of details. All right. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Stay tuned. Whoops. There's things in the way. come back for more Princess of Apshai, there will be more. And I will have these guys taken out of their little plastic envelopes and set up, and we'll see them in a little bit more detail next time. All right. Talk to you later.